inducted NHS members, parents, South High faculty, and other guests. After the pleasant surprise last week of being asked to speak this evening, I suddenly realized that I am practically half a century older than many of the students being honored here tonight. Given that we count history in centuries, a half century is pretty significant. So allow me to share a little 20th century history and some personal history that should give some context for the words I'm about to share. This week we've been celebrating Veterans Day, a day of remembrance to honor those men and women of our country who have served honorably in our armed forces. These veterans and those currently serving in our military heeded the call that President John F. Kennedy so eloquently expressed 64 years ago in 1961, the year I happened to be born, saying, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." My father was an Air Force veteran whose 20 years of military service required him to often take his family with him to distant countries and faraway states. So as a young boy, I experienced the Cold War in Europe and then a hot war raging in Vietnam. These experiences exposed me to a wider world that helped me to understand exactly what President Kennedy's wise words really meant. He believed that not only through our military projecting its power in the world, it was important to also project America's soft power. So his administration created the Peace Corps, still in existence today. So to send Americans abroad who are not soldiers, but ordinary citizens possessing skills and education that our amazing system creates and produces every day, so that they can share that knowledge and expertise to help improve conditions around the entire planet. When I was in 6th grade living in Hawaii while my dad was off serving in Vietnam, 3 Peace Corps volunteers came to my school to share what they were doing and where they were heading, and to emphasize the good they were going to do, the service they were going to provide to the people they would soon be helping. After their visit, as a 10-year-old, I knew exactly what I was going to do when I grew up. I was going to join the Peace Corps. Full disclosure, I haven't joined the Peace Corps, but there's still time, and maybe I will. What I took away from that experience, and with some maturity along the way, was to put President Kennedy's words into a larger context. He was really asking me, through those volunteers many years ago, to ask not what the world can do for me, but what could I do for the world? And then it hit me. It all boiled down to one thing, boiled down to service. Yes, service to others. In my worldview, it is our singular purpose. It gives life its meaning. It is the key to happiness each of us desires in our lives, and ultimately puts our individual existence into perspective amongst the grandeur and immensity of this amazing universe we all inhabit. But to serve well requires strength of character, a commitment to scholarship, and the capacity to lead when called upon to do so. Each of you has been developing your character through the trials and tribulations you have encountered through childhood up to now. You've learned to tell right from wrong and have begun to know that the law says what is legal to do, but your inner moral and ethical compass tells you what's the right thing to do. Unfortunately, in our modern world, it isn't always so easy to know which one to follow. So it will be your character that makes that decision for you. And when you are unsure, I suggest letting the immortal words of Thomas Jefferson be a guide. In matters of style, simply swim with the current. But in matters of principle, stand like a rock. Also, you know that for the past 13 to 14 years, all of you here, your primary purpose for coming to the school every day has been to get an education. In essence, to become a scholar. Putting aside a few lapses of using AI to help you get your homework done, the scholarship you now possess through the hard work of language, history and geography, math and science, the arts and music, has simply been to run you through 5,000 years of human progress so that your singular life in this moment fits into a broader and deeper tapestry that connects you to all other humans who have occupied this little blue marble floating through the vastness of space and time. And if you find yourself questioning the value of what you are learning, as I have many times, let the great 19th century Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard put it into perspective for you. He said, Education is the learning you must go through in order to catch up with yourself. And if you will not go through this learning, you are helped very little by the fact that you were born in the most enlightened age. Bottom line, don't stop learning, because your knowledge of basic facts and figures and an awareness of big ideas and grand theories will serve as an oasis when you feel lost in this fast-paced, crazy world we are living in. And now finally for leadership. It's that inner strength to know you must act and take others with you. One of my heroes I learned through my scholastic journey back in high school was Albert Schweitzer, a German physician whose life bridged the 19th and 20th centuries. He was innately bright, highly educated, and respected, but he gave up a very profitable medical practice treating the well-to-do in Europe and went to deepest, darkest Africa, where he devoted the remainder of his life using his tremendous talents and expertise and his connections to the rich and famous of Europe to build hospitals and schools in parts of Africa at a time when little was still known about some of the planet's most serious diseases and illnesses. His maxim in life was very simple, 3 words. Example is leadership. In other words, by taking your scholarship, guided by your strength of character, you must go out now and walk your talk and serve others. So National Honor Society members, your position in this organization is a calling to seek out ways to serve and to lead, guided by your character and your scholarship. Remember that this country, and by extension the world, through the sacrifices and service of many who have come before you and who've made your current opportunities even possible, expects you to now do the same. Some of you have had me as a teacher know that I put quotes up in my classroom that are a way for you as students to hear the voices of many who have blazed brightly before us. Their words can help put our own thoughts and feelings into a grander perspective. So in conclusion, I'm going to leave you with 2 final thoughts from Jane Goodall, who recently passed away at age 91 after living a life that impacted millions on this planet. I remember distinctly as a 6-year-old boy sitting in my living room watching that young 30-something on a National Geographic episode on a black and white TV set. So yes, in 1967, that was high tech. Showing us through her love, devotion, and passion for the natural world how to make our humanity shine through. Something I read in one of her biographies a couple years ago and now appears on my classroom wall is this most powerful statement. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. I'm going to repeat that because it's so important. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. This is your task, NHS members, current and soon to be NHS members, deciding how you will make a difference in the world. And as I am now in my 40th year as a teacher, I am comforted by these final words she shared not too long ago before she passed away. And she said the following: I do have reasons, at 91, I do have reasons for hope. It's our clever brains, the resilience of nature, the indomitable human spirit, and above all, the commitment of young people when they are empowered to take action. Jane Goodall was speaking to you guys. So go forth and make the world a better place through your character, your scholarship, your leadership, and ultimately your service to others. Thanks again for the privilege to share some thoughts with you. Congratulations and good luck to everybody.